What's up, YouTube family? Now, yesterday was Sunday, and y'all know I don't get on here on weekends because, yes, I do have a life outside of YouTube, believe it or not. But yesterday was not only Sunday, it was Martin Luther King's birthday. No, I'm sorry, the Honorable Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. And so, in honor of that, we're just going to go ahead and sing a song. Happy birthday to you. Stevie Wonder. Happy birthday. I feel like Eddie Murphy. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. You got to clap your hands like this. Happy birthday. Happy. Okay, let me stop being ugly. But no, seriously, because it was the Honorable Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday yesterday, I'm going to just do a little something for him today. I don't know, where should I start? Martin Luther King, the Honorable Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He was born January 15th, 1929. He died April 4th, 1968. At the age of 39, y'all. He didn't even make it till 40 years old. It's pretty tragic. So he's most famous for a speech he did called "I Had a Dream," where he says, "I have a dream that one day our kids will be judged by the colors. By the something like that. I should be ashamed. I don't even know it. But we've all heard this. They played it in school. It's famous. What is like not by the being judged by the content of their character, not by the color of the skin, stuff like that. He just said, I had a dream, and he was all about integration instead of segregation, which at a time, especially in the 60s during the civil rights movement, it was a lot of, like blacks couldn't sit with whites. Black people had to drink from a certain water fountain, things like that. Black people had to sit in the back of the bus, things, you know what I'm saying? This is where they had the Montgomery bus boycotts, was started with Rosa Parks and all this stuff. Now, we can talk all about, all the political propagandas. There was certain Democratic propagandas back in those days. Yes, Malcolm X even talked about it. Malcolm said things about Martin Luther King, called him a coon, called him Uncle Tom, this and that. But later on, before Malcolm X's assassination, him and Martin Luther King were actually friends. So, how do I feel about Dr. Martin Luther King, the Honorable? You see, as you can see, I call him the Honorable Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. for a reason. And some people say, he was a sellout. People say he was working with the government, this and that. I don't know the man personally, but, this is how I feel about it. This is from what I've learned and researched from all the clips and all the books that I've read and all the autobiographies of him and just things like that. Martin Luther King was legit. He had a lot of integrity. I feel like he got sucked in to like a certain political agenda, if you will. I really don't know the word for it. Some type of political agenda, or I want to say campaign, but not really a campaign. Just, more like an agenda that they were pushing. Martin Luther King later on, a lot of people don't really acknowledge this, but he kind of regretted his role sometime. He wanted peace in the world. Martin Luther King Jr., the Honorable Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., he wanted peace in the world. He wasn't really interested in any type of political gain, which we all know, the Democratic Party, they kind of swept in black people in order to sort of gain financially and gain global power and this and things like that. But Martin Luther King was not himself really like into that. He was more of, let's have peace in the world. He was tired of seeing blacks and whites fighting. Mahatma Gandhi, who was a guy from India, which I have my thoughts about him too, which we can talk about that another day. But one thing Gandhi was, or what he was, supposedly known for, was the concept of peace and nonviolence. The Honorable Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. also adapted that type of ideology. So the Honorable Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., he didn't believe in violence. He didn't believe in fighting back. he really believed in like the real Christian way, you know, which is following Christ, being like Jesus. Jesus wouldn't swing back at somebody that punched him. You know what I'm saying? Which, you know, I think is a fucking ridiculous theory. But this is not to dog anybody on that side. I'm here to honor the Honorable Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. because, you know, I talk a lot about, you know, men need to be, we need to be tough, you know, we need to be warriors, this and that. But, I mean, at the end of the day, we do need people like that. It's not really the act of being nonviolent, it's the integrity, the discipline to say that this is what I stick to. These are my principles. I will not be this way. I will not be that way, this and that. You know, saying I'm going to walk this straight path. This is how I'm doing. If I say I'm going to be nonviolent, that's what I'm going to be. I mean, you have no choice but to really honor that. And I believe, the Honorable Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, he was a good man, you know. Yes, I have my thoughts about Christianity. You know, yes, I'm sure he slept around with a different women. You know, we all seen jokes on the movie Barbershop, this and that. I mean, you know, these rumors always been around, even since the Honorable Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King's prime. But nonetheless, man, what he stood for, what he was really trying to do was he wanted to see United States of America, not only just the USA, but the whole world, where it's no longer, people are no longer looking at color. There's no longer a hierarchy with color. I'm black and I'm from Africa and you're white and you live in Africa, so I'm above you. Or you're black and you're over here in America, but I'm white, so that makes me above. You know, Martin Luther King, the Honorable Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, was trying to put a stop to all of that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? He just wanted people to judge people by the content of their character. But this is the thing, you know, it's always kind of been like that in a sense. But there will always be racial hierarchy too. So it's, you know, no man's perfect. I believe the Honorable Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, he did just like how, you know, brother Malcolm X did, which y'all know Malcolm's my man. You know, I wouldn't say like my idol, but that's, man, if I had to pick who my idol was, would definitely be brother Malcolm all the way. If you haven't seen the movie or read any of the books, like, I don't know what to tell you, but you will see then when he was assassinated, Martin Luther King, the Honorable Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King did send his condolences to brother Malcolm, because Malcolm X was assassinated before Martin. So yeah, you know, brother Malcolm was assassinated before brother Martin, is what I meant to say. So I'm gonna just say brother Martin now, just to shorten for the video. But what I really want to stress, y'all, you know, like I'm not making this a negative thing, but y'all know, if we're gonna talk about Black Lives Matter and black struggle and this and that, y'all, then we gotta be for real about it. He was known for making a speech on August 28th, 1963, 5 years before his assassination, called I Have a Dream, or I Had a Dream. Well, if the Honorable Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., aka Brother Martin, if he was here right now, the speech would go like this: I'm having a nightmare. I'm having a nightmare. I'm having a nightmare that I'm seeing men wear their pants down, showing their ass. I'm having a nightmare that they're sitting on the corner smoking grass and drinking Hennessy, and black women are out here having babies, and you got mixed babies growing up smoking crack. This is not what I meant when I said integration. I heard an Eminem song the other day. This is not what I meant. This was not my idea. For real, all jokes aside, if the Honorable Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., aka Brother Martin, was still here to this day, it would be a fucking nightmare. He would see all this Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion shit, all this gang banging Little Durk shit, Young Gunna, Young Stun, whoever the fuck. Just all this killing, drug dealing, drug using, the crime rates. Come on, man. The way everything that the Democratic Party has done, everything that the Republican Party has done prior to Trump. I mean, come on. Even the things during Trump's campaign. It's just, man, like, Black people, black culture has become very, very fucking degenerate. And I've been saying this. So if we're gonna honor the Honorable Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., y'all, I think it's more than just being peace with whites and blacks. Because yes, there's still so much racism. I don't think there's more racism or less racism. I think racism has always been here and will probably always be here. But I think that the people who were hardcore racists, and I've said that on so many different videos, the real hardcore racist white people, like the real redneck who hate niggers, most of them, they're either quiet and kept to themselves about this shit, or a lot of them are old and dying out. A lot of them are a fucking minority. The majority of racist white people, I mean, the majority of white people are not the racist white person in a pickup truck with a Confederate flag and a shotgun looking for niggers. Like, you know, yeah, you got stuff like that, like down in the South, especially back in the day. But I don't. That shit is a minority. That shit is kind of like a myth nowadays. You really don't see that stuff. I've never seen anybody wear a MAGA hat. This is my point. They push racism. They exploit racism. During the Honorable Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Brother Malcolm X, El Haj Malik, that's his full name, yeah. During their times, it was a real struggle. It was political gain then, but it was actual struggle. Like people down south, black people were getting their ass beat. Black people had to sit in the back of the bus. It was shit like that. You can go to the fucking Temptations concert. Matter of fact, Temptations, they got a movie about the Temptations, the singing group. And there's a part in the movie where there's a fucking concert and you can see black people on one side and white people on the other side. And even with the white cops singing along, that's just how it was. So racism was a big part. But just American culture, period, and especially black culture, has become very, very negative. The majority of black people in America are not doing very good. The majority of black people in America are not very educated. And, you know, the crime rate, the abortion rate, everything when it comes to black people, especially young black people. So now we have this integration. Now we have a lot of mixed people. We got a lot of white girls having babies with black dudes. We got a lot of black girls, you know, marrying white men, this and that, and this. But a lot of these kids, man, I hate to say this, but the black women who marry the white man, their kids actually grow up better than most of the white women who get knocked up by black dudes. Because most white women are not, you know what I'm saying? They're chasing after the same type of toxic niggas that most of the black women in the black community. So most white women who like black guys, they're kind of emulating or sort of copying how black women are. Which is, you know, we talk shit about, like, you know, the black girl that marries the white man, but at the same time, they're the ones that's actually holding traditional values and shit, instead of out here just being whores and shit. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, all I can really say, man, you know, rest in peace to the brother. He did his thing, and, you know, we're going to keep honoring his name. I see they've been very quiet about him this year, it seemed like. What happened to all this Black Lives Matter, this and that, and all this propaganda? I mean, we got a black female vice president, Kamala Harris, right? Who's married to a white man, by the way. We should think about, you know, these things and wonder why is Martin not really being talked about? Y'all know Malcolm, they never talk about Malcolm. He was a racist and he hated black people. Watch the Malcolm X movie, or just watch some clips. Go on YouTube. Martin and Malcolm were friends before they died. This is truth. So that whole, you know, Martin was all about peace and Malcolm was all about violence. Nah, that was false. That was false. So, you know, rest in peace to the Honorable Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And, you know, we're going to continue to do this. So tomorrow, we're going to talk about the so-called confession from Brother Andrew Tate. Y'all know, y'all, the show goes on. This is during this case, until this whole case is closed, you're going to see a lot of Andrew Tate videos on here. So this is just what it is. I am officially a Red Pill YouTube content creator. So this is just what the fuck I do. But everybody have a good night, and see y'all tomorrow. Peace.